Santa Fe Pro Musica's artistic director, Colin Jacobsen, joins me today. Audiences have a chance to hear music both familiar and possibly new this week, and several events to dive deeper into it. And Colin, thank you so much for joining me.
Great to be here with you, Brent.
The concert on Sunday is called Source Code, based around a piece by Jesse Montgomery, and it features composers who we've probably heard a lot of before, like Heinrich Bieber and Edvard Grieg and Bela Bartok, and also new works by Jesse Montgomery and even yourself. What's the sort of theme tying this together?
Well, you mentioned Jesse's piece, which is called Source Code. And in that piece, she traces her African-American heritage back to the civil rights movement and some of the great artists of that time. And that exploration took her even further back to sort of the spiritual as the DNA, she describes it, of much of African-American folk music, which became, of course, the blues and jazz, and arguably, she says, the DNA of most pop music to this day. So I just love that idea of tracing the one inspiration to a source. And when you look at the classical tradition, we see that it's just full of inspiration coming from music of the people, music of the street. And you hear that very much in Bieber's Battaglia. He takes, at one point, about 7 different folk songs, and this is to depict Bacchus, the god of wine. And he overlays them in a way that he says something about the lusty sound of dissonance. And it's like 7 different folk songs on top of each other, all in a different key to sort of depict the people who are become drunk. But this is in a way, it's a very experimental piece. You don't hear that kind of layering until Charles Ives, perhaps. But all of the pieces are sort of tracing roots. So we have Grieg's Holberg Suite, really one of the top 40 of classical music, such a beloved work. And I think often it's given this neo-Baroque quality or classical, but there's very much present in it, I think, in all of Grieg's music, the sense of nature, the sense of folk song. And along the way, I learned some hardanger fiddle tunes, which is, of course, the Norwegian folk fiddle that has all these sympathetic strings that you don't play but vibrate when you touch other strings, and it creates this incredible resonance. So I thought of arranging those tunes for string orchestra as a way of creating a giant hardanger fiddle and playing with those interesting resonances. And I think when you hear those alongside the Grieg, it just puts the Grieg in a different light.
The concert is on Sunday. You and I will have a chance to delve deeper into this at Meet the Music, a talk we do 1/2 hour before the concert. But if people want to dive a little bit deeper, Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Center for Contemporary Arts, you're presenting the DNA of music, you and members of Pro Musica. So what will that event be?
I think that very much is an opportunity to get literally up close to the orchestra, and for me to be able to tease out some of these connections between the pieces in a more sort of relaxed, informal way than we will at the Lensic, which will be, of course, a show. And what I would hope is that audiences can come and experience it in both settings, so that they really get some of this DNA, this idea of source code behind the music, and then come to the concert hearing the music in a different light.
Colin Jacobsen is artistic director of Santa Fe Pro Musica, presenting the DNA of music this Saturday, 3 p.m. at the Center for Contemporary Arts, and next Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Lensic. Colin Jacobsen and the group perform Heinrich Bieber, Jesse Montgomery, Edvard Grieg, and music of Colin Jacobsen. That concert's at 3, and Colin and I will have a chance to talk for Meet the Music 1 hour before the performance at the Lensic. Tickets and more information about all the programs at sfpromusica.org. Colin, travel safely. Look forward to seeing you a week from Sunday.
Looking forward to talking to you more.